Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. I've been getting down on myself a little bit recently because I found myself being annoyed with other people for certain things they were doing. And there's been a couple of times where, I've mentioned something to someone and then kind of felt like an asshole afterwards. And it's not that I mentioned it in a bad way, but it was clear from their reaction that they thought I was overreaching. And it's made me think that maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe, I'm just kind of an asshole by nature and I get too irritated with other people. And then that turns into, well, maybe I'm not really that good of a person. And how do I be a better person? And it spirals out of control, and I have trouble reining it all back in. So if you can identify with any of that, you might like the quote that I read this morning out of Fuck Feelings by Dr. Michael I. Bennett and Sarah Bennett, which says, "Remember, very few people are naturally, effortlessly good. We leave that up to the dogs." And this is from a section about dealing with people who are annoying to you for whatever reason. One of the things that they reminded me of in this section is that nobody is perfect in the way that they deal with other people. Human beings in general have difficulties dealing with each other. And part of what we have to figure out how to do is deal with each other without driving ourselves and each other absolutely bonkers. So one of the things that they reminded me of was that, different people have different things that annoy them. And what you have to really look at is not necessarily whether you're annoyed by something that other people aren't, but really how you're dealing with things and whether you're living up to your own standards. So instead of being worried about, I'll give you an example. I've got a neighbor who, we've got several neighbors with kids, and we've all got kids, and they all play together. And this neighbor seems very open to, the kids run through his house all the time. It doesn't bother him. He loves having the kids over. I kind of like my quiet time. So I don't mind it sometimes, but there's some days where I just don't want the kids running through the house making a lot of noise. I kind of want to have some quiet time. And if it's a time where it's difficult for me to go somewhere or be someplace else to get that, I kind of get annoyed by it. And even this morning, before I read this section, I was comparing myself with this other guy and thinking, man, is there something wrong with me that I'm not more like this person? And that's not a good way to live. We got to avoid comparing ourselves to other people, because when we start doing that, we discount all of the different things that go into making a person: their upbringing, where they grew up, what their parents were like, whether they went to a certain kind of school, whether they went to no school. I mean, there's all these different things that go into making a person who they are. And when we compare ourselves to someone, we have to remember we're not actually comparing ourselves to that person. We're comparing ourselves to our perception of that person. We don't know. I don't even know 1% of my neighbor's life. I see him, a very small amount of his regular day, much less his entire life. So I only am comparing myself with the perception that I've gotten from my limited interaction with him. That's not a good source to use to figure out whether or not I'm doing the right thing. So what I have to do is develop my own standards for what I believe is right and what I believe is appropriate. And, in the case of having kids running around the house, hey, develop my standards of, dude, there are days where it's going to be appropriate for you to open the doors, let the kids run wild, and just, offer them drinks and be the good host. There are going to be days where it's appropriate to say, hey guys, why don't y'all play outside today? We want to keep it a little quiet. That's all there is to it. If the neighbor next door doesn't seem to need any of those days where things are quiet, that's okay too. That's fine too. That's his thing. Hey, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to look at what are my standards, what do I think are important, and then move on from there. So I think that a lot of us who are in recovery and who have been through a period of addiction or substance use disorders really have some good experience with comparing ourselves with other people. Most of us spent time in our active addiction looking at other people who were worse off than us and saying, oh, see, I don't have a problem. Look at this person. They have a problem. I don't have a problem because I'm not like them. And now we can find ourselves in the opposite situation on this side of things where we can look at other people that we think are doing something maybe we should be doing and get down on ourselves for not doing it without really having the full story about those people. In both situations, we got to stop comparing ourselves to others. We got to develop our own standards for living, what we feel like is important, and then do our best to live up to those things. Take some time at the end of each day to see, hey, did I live up to my standards or not? If you didn't, try to do better the next day. And that's really all we need to be worried about, and that's all we need to be concerned with. It's an important lesson. That's why I really love the part of the 12 steps where I developed a better sense of what's important to me in terms of the standards that I want to live up to in life. Because now, when I get to these points where I'm really doing a lot of comparison of myself to other people, I can take a step back and say, wait a second, you're getting too much in the mode of how do I look compared to this person. Let's look at how you look compared to the standards you've developed for yourself and figure out whether or not you're in line with those. That's where I can make some educated and some sensible decisions about whether my behavior needs to be changed a little bit or whether I'm okay keeping on the road I'm already on. That's it for today. I'll be back here tomorrow with more. Have a good one.